This video contains audio content only. There are no visual elements or images accompanying the audio. If you're expecting to see video footage, please note that this is an intentional audio-only presentation. We recommend listening to this content rather than watching the screen. Thank you for your understanding and enjoy the audio. Welcome to this exploration of the Gagauz people, a fascinating group whose history and identity are as intricate as the patterns woven into their traditional carpets. Join us as we unravel the mysteries surrounding their origins, their journey through time, and their unique cultural tapestry. We'll present this captivating story in easy-to-understand language, making this complex history accessible to everyone. The Gagauz, a Turkic-speaking Christian community primarily residing in Moldova and Ukraine, present a captivating enigma. Their origins remain shrouded in mystery, with various theories pointing to diverse ancestral connections. We'll delve into these competing narratives, exploring the whispers of Seljuk Turk ancestry, the echoes of nomadic steppe tribes, and the intriguing possibilities of Greek and Bulgarian influences. Prepare to be captivated by tales of legendary figures, ancient migrations, and the enduring quest to uncover the truth behind their ancestry. Their journey through time has been marked by displacement and adaptation. We'll trace their migration from the Balkans to Bessarabia, exploring the push and pull factors that led them to seek new beginnings in a foreign land. We'll examine how they rebuilt their lives, forged new communities, and navigated the challenges of maintaining their cultural identity in a new environment. Discover how the experience of resettlement shaped their sense of community and laid the groundwork for the development of their national consciousness. Religion has played a pivotal role in shaping Gagauz identity. We'll explore the fascinating interplay between their pre-Christian beliefs, potentially linked to the ancient religion of Tengriism, and the enduring influence of Orthodox Christianity. Discover how these seemingly disparate belief systems have intertwined, creating a unique spiritual landscape that sets them apart from other Turkic groups. We'll examine the role of their Orthodox faith in their interactions with other communities and its influence on their cultural expressions. Language is the lifeblood of any culture, and the Gagauz language is no exception. We'll trace its journey through history, from its origins in the Balkans to its current precarious state, caught between the dominant forces of Russian and Romanian, Moldovan. Explore the challenges they face in preserving their language and the efforts being made to revitalize it in a multilingual world. Discover how their language reflects their unique identity and their connection to their past. Finally, we'll delve into the complexities of Gagauzia's autonomy within Moldova. We'll examine the historical context, the political dynamics, and the external influences that shape this unique region's relationship with both Moldova and Russia. Explore the ongoing struggle to balance local aspirations with national interests and the whispers of separatism that echo through the region's political landscape. By the end of this journey, you'll have a deeper understanding of the Gagauz people, their history, their culture, and their ongoing quest for self-determination. You'll appreciate the complexities of their identity, the challenges they face, and the resilience they demonstrate in preserving their unique heritage in a rapidly changing world. Join us as we explore the captivating story of the Gagauz people, a story of resilience, adaptation, and the enduring power of cultural identity. Chapter 1. The Enigma of the Gagauz. Whispers of Seljuks and the Steppe. The Gagauz people, a Turkic group nestled primarily in the southern reaches of Moldova and southwestern Ukraine, present a captivating puzzle to those who delve into the annals of history and the intricacies of human culture. Their origins remain stubbornly veiled, obscured by the mists of time and a tangle of competing theories. Like whispers carried on the wind, these narratives hint at diverse ancestral connections, weaving a rich tapestry of possibilities but offering no definitive answers. One such whisper speaks of a link to the Seljuk Turks, a powerful empire that once dominated vast swaths of Anatolia. At the heart of this narrative stands the enigmatic figure of Sari Saltik, a Turkoman dervish whose story intertwines with legend and historical conjecture. The 15th-century Selçuk name, a chronicle of Seljuk history, recounts Sari Saltik's journey in 1261, leading a band of Turkomans into the region of Dobruja, a coastal area bordering the Black Sea. According to this account, the Byzantine Emperor Michael VIII Palaiologos, seeking to bolster his empire's defenses against external threats, welcomed the Turkomans and granted them land in Dobruja. Sari Saltik, revered for his spiritual prowess and military acumen, became a key figure in this frontier region, tasked with protecting the northern borders of the Byzantine Empire. However, the Seljuk name's narrative is not without its complexities. Dobruja during this period was also under the sway of the Tatars, a formidable force that had swept across the steppes. The Seljuk name itself places Sari Saltik in Crimea after 1265, among Turkomans relocated there by Berk, the Khan of the Golden Horde. Later, after 1280, the narrative describes Sari Saltik leading these nomads back to Dobruja. This intricate interplay of Byzantine, Tatar, and Turkoman influences creates a convoluted historical backdrop, making it challenging to disentangle the truth from the embellishments of legend. Furthermore, the Seljuk name's account of Sari Saltik's role raises intriguing questions about religious conversion. The Seljuks were devout Muslims, yet the Gagauz, their supposed descendants, adhered to Eastern Orthodox Christianity. How could a group of Seljuk Muslims, settling in a region contested by fellow Muslims like the Tatars, convert to Christianity? Some historians, like A.F. Bajora, dismiss the Seljuk name's narrative as a myth propagated by the Tatars themselves. They point to the lack of secular and compact archaeological evidence confirming a significant Seljuk presence in Dobruja. The idea of Seljuk Muslims readily converting to Christianity while surrounded by Muslim Tatars seems implausible to these critics. The Seljuk name also tells of the Turkomans' fate after Sari Saltik's death. Some returned to Anatolia, becoming the ancestors of the Karamanlides, a Turkic-speaking Orthodox Christian group. Others remained in Dobruja, their descendants potentially forming the nucleus of the Gagauz people. This divergence of paths adds another layer of complexity to the Seljuk hypothesis, raising questions about the cultural and linguistic connections between the Gagauz and the Karamanlides. Another whisper, carried on the winds of the Eurasian steppes, tells a different story of Gagauz origins. The steppe hypothesis proposes a descent from nomadic Turkic tribes like the Pechenegs, Cumans, Kipchaks, and other groups that roamed the vast grasslands. This narrative finds support in the intriguing fact that during the 19th century, Gagauz living in the Bulgarian territories of the Ottoman Empire readily identified themselves as Bulgarians. They used designations like Hazli Bulgar, true Bulgarians, and Eski Bulgar, old Bulgarians, emphasizing their connection to the historical legacy of the Bulgarians. These Gagauz considered the term Gagauz demeaning, a label imposed upon them by their Slavic-speaking Bulgarian neighbors. Instead, they referred to their language as Turkish and claimed descent from the Turkic-speaking Bulgars who, in the 7th century, established the first Bulgarian Empire along the Danube River. This self-identification as Bulgarians highlights a crucial distinction between linguistic and ethnic identity. The 19th-century Gagauz in Bulgarian territories, while speaking a Turkic language, saw themselves as part of the broader Bulgarian ethnos. The term, Gagauz, in their eyes, was merely a linguistic marker, not a reflection of their true ethnic affiliation. Even today, the presence of surnames like Kipkakli among the Gagauz offers a tantalizing glimpse into their potential steppe heritage, echoing the names of the Cuman Kipchak tribes that once traversed the Eurasian plains. The 1897 Russian Empire census provides a snapshot of Gagauz identity at the turn of the 20th century. The census did not recognize the Gagauz as a distinct group, instead recording 55,790 native speakers of a Turkish language in the Bessarabia Governorate. This data suggests that, at least officially, the Gagauz were not yet considered a separate ethnic group but rather a linguistic subset within a larger population. However, the steppe hypothesis, like the Seljuk narrative, faces its own challenges. Historian A.F. Bajora points to significant linguistic differences between the Cuman language, spoken by the Cuman Kipchak tribes, and the Gagauz language. These languages, he argues, belong to different branches of the Turkic language family, raising questions about a direct lineage between the Gagauz and the Cumans Kipchaks. Beyond the Seljuk and steppe hypotheses, other whispers emerge, adding further layers of intrigue to the Gagauz enigma. The Greek hypothesis proposes a connection to the Greeks of the Balkans. Some versions suggest that the Gagauz were originally Anatolian Greeks who migrated to the Balkans and, while retaining their Orthodox Christian faith, underwent linguistic assimilation, adopting a Turkic tongue. Another version posits that the Ottomans, upon conquering Dobruja in the 14th century, encountered a native Greek population that, outnumbered by Turkish settlers, also retained their Orthodox faith but underwent Turkification. This linguistic assimilation mirrors the experience of groups like the Karamanlides, further fueling the debate. Genetic research offers some support for the Greek hypothesis, indicating that the Gagauz shared genetic affinities with European populations. Moreover, during the Greek War of Independence, Gagauz from Bessarabia and Bulgaria joined the armies of Alexander Ypsilantis, fighting alongside the Greeks against Ottoman rule. This shared struggle suggests a sense of solidarity and perhaps a shared identity. Notable figures like Konstantin Jiricek championed the Greek hypothesis, adding weight to this perspective. Yet another whisper, emanating from Bulgarian sources, claims the Gagauz as Turkified Bulgarians. This hypothesis draws strength from the fact that many Gagauz in Bulgaria consider themselves natives, or Li. Some proponents suggest a direct descent from the medieval Bulgars, while others argue for a Slavic origin, no different from other Bulgarians, before the adoption of a Turkic language. However, the Bulgarian hypothesis also faces counter-arguments. The Ottomans, while often compelling religious conversion, typically did not force their subjects to abandon their languages. Furthermore, not all Gagauz in Bulgaria identify as Bulgarians, weakening the claim of a universal Bulgarian origin. Even the very name, Gagauz, remains elusive. Ethnographic studies reveal that, in the past, the term was primarily used by neighbors, often as a derogatory label. The Gagauz themselves did not embrace this designation, finding it offensive. This negative connotation, combined with the absence of the term in historical records before the Gagauz migration to Bessarabia, makes its etymology uncertain. Astrid Mentz's research sheds light on this issue, documenting the use of Gagauz as an insult by neighbors and the Gagauz people's rejection of the term. In Bulgaria, Gagauz often registered as either Greek, due to their Orthodox faith, or Bulgarian, reflecting emerging nationalist sentiments. This practice further complicates efforts to trace their historical identity. The Gagauz, therefore, remain an enigma. Their origins are shrouded in mystery, with multiple whispers vying for attention. The Seljuk hypothesis, with its tales of Sari Saltik and the Turkomans in Dobruja, offers a compelling narrative but lacks definitive proof. The steppe hypothesis, pointing to nomadic Turkic ancestors, finds support in 19th-century Gagauz self-identification but faces linguistic challenges. The Greek and Bulgarian hypotheses, each with their own arguments and counter-arguments, add further layers of complexity. The lack of clear historical records, the shifting sands of identity over centuries, and the interplay of linguistic, religious, and ethnic factors all contribute to the enduring mystery of the Gagauz people. Their story, like a palimpsest, reveals traces of multiple narratives, each contributing to their unique and enigmatic identity. Chapter 2. A People Adrift, From the Balkans to Bessarabia's Embrace. The Gagauz migration to Bessarabia wasn't simply a matter of accepting a generous offer from the Russian Empire. It was a complex decision, driven by a confluence of push and pull factors that compelled them to leave their ancestral homes in the Balkans and seek a new beginning in the fertile lands north of the Danube. Life under Ottoman rule, while allowing for the preservation of their Orthodox Christian faith, presented numerous challenges. Economic hardship was a constant companion, opportunities were limited, and social discrimination was a pervasive undercurrent. The Gagauz, distinct in language and culture, often found themselves on the margins of Ottoman society. The allure of Bessarabia, and specifically the Budjak region, was multifaceted. Russia, eager to consolidate its control over the newly acquired territory, dangled the promise of land ownership, a powerful incentive for a people long accustomed to tenancy and insecurity. Financial incentives sweetened the deal, offering a chance for economic advancement and a fresh start. Budjak, with its vast steppes and fertile soil, beckoned with the prospect of agricultural prosperity. The departure of the Nogai tribes left a void, creating an opportunity for the Gagauz to establish their own communities and shape the region's future. The Russian government actively encouraged this resettlement, viewing the Gagauz as a reliable and productive population that could contribute to the economic development and stability of the region. The migration itself was a formidable undertaking, a journey fraught with peril and uncertainty. It was a gradual process, unfolding over several decades, rather than a sudden mass exodus. Families, often traveling in small groups, packed their meager belongings onto carts, bidding farewell to the familiar landscapes of the Balkans and embarking on a long and arduous trek. The journey, typically overland, could take weeks or even months, depending on the starting point and the chosen route. The Gagauz faced numerous hardships along the way: harsh weather conditions, limited food and water supplies, the threat of bandits and disease, and the emotional toll of leaving behind their ancestral homes. Oral histories and anecdotal accounts passed down through generations speak of the resilience and determination of the Gagauz during this challenging period. They recount stories of families sharing their scarce resources, helping each other through difficult times, and maintaining their faith and cultural traditions despite the hardships they faced. Upon arriving in Bessarabia, the Gagauz were not simply absorbed into a homogeneous landscape. They joined a vibrant tapestry of ethnicities, interacting with existing communities like the Bessarabian Bulgarians and the remaining Nogai. The Gagauz, primarily agriculturalists, quickly adapted to the fertile environment of Budjak, establishing villages and cultivating the land. They organized their settlements along traditional lines, with a strong emphasis on community and family ties. Village elders played a crucial role in maintaining social order, resolving disputes, and preserving cultural traditions. Religious life centered around the Orthodox Christian faith, providing a spiritual anchor in their new homeland. Churches became not only places of worship but also centers of community life, fostering social cohesion and cultural continuity. The construction of churches often involved the entire community, with families contributing labor and resources. These shared efforts strengthened community bonds and reinforced their sense of belonging in Bessarabia. The Gagauz did not sever ties with their Balkan past. They maintained connections with relatives and communities left behind, exchanging letters, sharing news, and occasionally making the arduous journey back to their ancestral villages. These connections helped preserve cultural links and fostered a sense of shared identity across geographical boundaries. Marriages between Gagauz in Bessarabia and those in the Balkans were not uncommon, further strengthening these ties. These cross-border connections also facilitated the flow of information and cultural practices, ensuring that the Gagauz in Bessarabia remained connected to their roots. The resettlement to Bessarabia became a crucible for Gagauz identity. The shared experience of migration, displacement, and rebuilding their lives in a new land fostered a stronger sense of community and cultural distinctiveness. The Gagauz, surrounded by other ethnic groups, became more acutely aware of their own unique language, traditions, and customs. They held onto their language, passing it down through generations, ensuring its survival despite the dominance of Russian in official and educational settings. Traditional crafts, like carpet weaving and pottery, flourished, becoming not only a source of livelihood but also a way of expressing their cultural identity. Music and dance played a central role in community life, with traditional songs and dances performed at weddings, festivals, and other social gatherings. These cultural expressions became a powerful symbol of Gagauz identity, distinguishing them from other ethnic groups in the region. The experience of resettlement also laid the groundwork for the development of a stronger Gagauz national consciousness. The challenges they faced in maintaining their language and culture in a new environment, coupled with their interactions with other ethnic groups and the policies of the Russian Empire, fostered a sense of shared destiny and a desire for self-determination. This nascent national consciousness, while not yet fully formed, would become a driving force in Gagauz political and cultural life in the centuries to come, shaping their relationship with Moldova, Ukraine, and the wider world. The migration to Bessarabia, therefore, was not just a physical relocation. It was a transformative journey that shaped the Gagauz into the distinct community they are today, a people with a rich cultural heritage, a strong sense of identity, and an enduring connection to both their Balkan past and their Bessarabian present. Their story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, the power of community, and the enduring importance of cultural heritage in the face of displacement and change. Chapter 3. The Tug of War for Souls. Orthodoxy in the Land of Tengri. The Gagauz people's spiritual landscape is a fascinating blend of ancient Turkic traditions and the enduring influence of Orthodox Christianity. While their pre-Christian beliefs remain shrouded in mystery, tantalizing clues suggest a connection to Tengriism, the ancient religion of the Turkic and Mongolic peoples. This faith, centered on the worship of the sky god Tengri, permeated the lives of nomadic tribes across the Eurasian steppes, shaping their worldview and cultural practices. Although the Gagauz conversion to Orthodox Christianity centuries ago marked a significant shift in their religious orientation, echoes of Tengriism continue to resonate within their community, creating a unique syncretism that distinguishes them from other Turkic groups. Tengri, the supreme deity in the Tengriist pantheon, represented the boundless sky, the embodiment of celestial power and the source of all creation. This reverence for the sky and its divine significance may have found expression in the Gagauz veneration of sacred trees, a practice that persists to this day. In Tengriism, trees were often seen as conduits to the divine, connecting the earthly realm with the celestial sphere. Specific trees, particularly those possessing unusual shapes or growing in prominent locations, were considered sacred and imbued with spiritual power. The Gagauz, even within their Orthodox Christian framework, continued to hold certain trees in high regard, adorning them with colorful ribbons and offering small tokens of reverence. This practice, while potentially rooted in Tengriist beliefs, has been seamlessly integrated into their Orthodox faith, perhaps representing a syncretic blend of ancient reverence for nature and Christian devotion. The Gagauz language itself offers glimpses into their potential Tengriist past. Certain words and expressions related to nature, cosmology, and spiritual beliefs bear resemblance to terms found in other Turkic languages with stronger Tengriist influences. These linguistic remnants, like fossils preserved in the strata of language, offer tantalizing clues about the Gagauz pre-Christian worldview. For instance, the Gagauz word for God, Allah, is shared with Islamic traditions, suggesting a possible link to earlier Turkic groups who may have embraced Islam before the Gagauz conversion to Christianity. This linguistic crossover hints at a complex religious history, where different faiths and belief systems interacted and influenced each other. The Gagauz celebration of Hederlez, a spring festival marking the revival of nature and the beginning of the agricultural cycle, also exhibits a fascinating interplay of pre-Christian and Orthodox elements. Hederlez, celebrated on May 6, coincides with St. George's Day in the Orthodox calendar. St. George, a revered figure in Orthodox Christianity, is known as the protector of livestock and agriculture. The Gagauz, traditionally agriculturalists and pastoralists, readily embraced St. George as their patron saint, integrating him into their existing Hederlez celebrations. The festival involves various rituals, including animal sacrifices, communal feasts, and traditional songs and dances, some of which may have pre-Christian roots. The kurban, a sacrificial lamb offered to the head of the local church, is a central element of the Hederlez celebration in some Gagauz communities, like Vynorodivka in Ukraine. This practice, while potentially echoing earlier sacrificial traditions associated with Tengriism, has been adapted to fit within the Gagauz Orthodox framework. The communal meal following the kurban, where villagers share food and celebrate together, reinforces community bonds and strengthens their shared religious identity. The Gagauz celebration of Hederlez, therefore, exemplifies the fusion of pre-Christian traditions and Orthodox practices, creating a unique expression of faith that reflects their complex religious heritage. The Gagauz adherence to Orthodox Christianity played a pivotal role in shaping their identity and interactions with other communities, particularly during their migration to Bessarabia. In the 19th century, as the Russian Empire expanded its influence in the region, it actively encouraged the resettlement of Orthodox Christians from the Ottoman Balkans to Bessarabia. The Gagauz, sharing this faith with the Russians, were seen as a valuable addition to the region's population. Their Orthodox faith provided a common ground with other Orthodox communities in Bessarabia, especially the Bulgarians, fostering a sense of belonging and facilitating their integration into their new homeland. The shared religious identity also helped establish trust and cooperation between the Gagauz and the Russian authorities, who offered land and financial incentives to encourage their resettlement. This mutually beneficial relationship, based on shared faith and economic pragmatism, contributed to the Gagauz successful establishment in Bessarabia. The Gagauz people's unique religious history has profoundly influenced their cultural expressions, creating a rich tapestry of traditions that blend ancient customs with Orthodox practices. Music and dance, central to Gagauz cultural life, often incorporate elements that may have pre-Christian origins. Traditional Gagauz songs, passed down through generations, sometimes feature themes and motifs related to nature, cosmology, and spiritual beliefs that resonate with Tengriist worldviews. These songs, performed at weddings, festivals, and other social gatherings, serve as a powerful reminder of their ancestral heritage. The Gagauz language, despite its Turkic roots, incorporates numerous Slavic loanwords, reflecting their interactions with neighboring Slavic communities, particularly the Bulgarians. This linguistic blending mirrors the syncretism found in their religious practices, where Orthodox Christianity coexists with remnants of earlier beliefs. The Gagauz people's migration to Bessarabia, while driven by a complex set of factors, was also facilitated by their Orthodox faith. The Russian Empire, seeking to populate the newly acquired territory with loyal subjects, offered land and financial incentives to Orthodox Christians from the Ottoman Balkans. The Gagauz, sharing this faith, were readily welcomed, and their resettlement was actively encouraged by the Russian authorities. This religious commonality not only eased their integration into Bessarabia but also fostered connections with other Orthodox communities, particularly the Bulgarians, strengthening their sense of belonging in their new homeland. The Gagauz, primarily agriculturalists, quickly adapted to the fertile lands of Bessarabia, establishing villages and contributing to the region's economic development. Their Orthodox faith provided a spiritual anchor in their new environment, and churches became centers of community life, fostering social cohesion and cultural continuity. The Gagauz people's story, therefore, is a testament to the complex interplay of religious identity, migration, and cultural adaptation. Their unique blend of Tengriist remnants and Orthodox Christianity has created a distinct cultural and spiritual landscape, setting them apart in a region marked by diverse religious and cultural influences. Chapter 4. A Language Adrift, the Gagauz Tongue in the Crosscurrents of History. The Gagauz language, a unique branch of the Oghuz Turkic family, finds itself precariously perched on the precipice of extinction, its existence a testament to the resilience of a small community caught in the crosscurrents of empires, ideologies, and linguistic tides. Its journey through time has been one of constant adaptation, a struggle to maintain its distinct voice amidst the dominant chorus of Russian and Romanian, Moldovan. From its earliest forms, shaped by the nomadic traditions of its Turkic ancestors and the influences of neighboring Balkan languages, Gagauz has navigated a complex linguistic landscape, enduring periods of suppression and revival, its fate intertwined with the political and social upheavals that have swept across its homeland. The earliest whispers of the Gagauz language emerged in the Balkans, particularly in the region of Dobruja, where its ancestors settled centuries ago. Influenced by the languages of neighboring communities, including Greek, Bulgarian, and Slavic dialects, Gagauz developed its own distinct character, incorporating loanwords and grammatical structures while retaining its core Turkic identity. This period, before the advent of widespread literacy and standardization, saw the language flourish in its oral form, passed down through generations via folktales, songs, and everyday conversations. These oral traditions, rich in cultural nuances and historical memory, became the repository of Gagauz identity, preserving their unique perspective and worldview. Stories like the legend of the Karakurt, a mythological creature part spider and part human, embodied the Gagauz people's connection to their land and their unique beliefs. These narratives, passed down through generations, not only entertained but also instilled moral values and reinforced cultural identity. The arrival of the Russian Empire in Bessarabia in the 19th century marked a turning point in the Gagauz language's trajectory. Russia, eager to consolidate its control over the newly acquired territory, implemented policies of Russification, aimed at assimilating the diverse ethnic groups under its rule. Gagauz, like other minority languages, faced increasing pressure to conform to the dominant Russian linguistic norm. Russian became the language of administration, education, and public life, gradually encroaching upon the Gagauz linguistic space. Children were taught in Russian schools, official documents were written in Russian, and the Gagauz language was relegated to the private sphere, its use discouraged in public settings. This linguistic marginalization had a profound impact on the Gagauz community, limiting their access to education, employment, and social mobility. Families struggled to maintain Gagauz at home, as children, immersed in the Russian-dominated environment, increasingly adopted Russian as their primary language. Intergenerational communication became strained, as grandparents, fluent in Gagauz, found it difficult to connect with their grandchildren, who primarily spoke Russian. The introduction of the Cyrillic script for Gagauz in 1957, ostensibly intended to promote literacy, further exacerbated the language's decline. While literacy rates did improve, the Cyrillic script distanced Gagauz from its Turkic roots and facilitated the influx of Russian vocabulary and grammatical structures. Gagauz, written in Cyrillic, began to resemble a Russified version of its former self, its unique character diluted by the pervasive influence of the dominant language. This linguistic shift not only impacted the written form of Gagauz but also influenced its pronunciation and spoken form. Russian phonemes crept into Gagauz, altering its melodic cadence and blurring the boundaries between the two languages. Traditional Gagauz songs and folktales, once vibrant expressions of their cultural heritage, began to incorporate Russian words and expressions, reflecting the gradual erosion of the language's distinct identity. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 presented both an opportunity and a challenge for the Gagauz language. With the demise of the Soviet regime and its Russification policies, Gagauz gained a measure of linguistic freedom. The Gagauz people, eager to reclaim their cultural heritage, embarked on a path of linguistic revival. The process of switching from Cyrillic to Latin, closer to the Turkish alphabet, began in 1993, spearheaded by key figures like Todor Zanat, editor-in-chief of the Ana Sozu newspaper. Zanat, a passionate advocate for the Gagauz language, recognized the importance of reconnecting the language with its Turkic roots and promoting its use in all spheres of life. He used his newspaper, the largest local publication in Gagauzia, as a platform to advocate for language revitalization, encouraging readers and local authorities to embrace their mother tongue. The transition from Cyrillic to Latin was not without its difficulties. The Gagauz language, having existed primarily in its oral form for centuries, lacked a standardized written form. The task of creating a unified orthography, grammar, and vocabulary proved challenging, with different dialects and regional variations vying for recognition. The lack of qualified teachers and teaching materials further complicated the process of language revitalization in schools. The debate surrounding the language of instruction in schools also highlighted the ongoing struggle between Gagauz, Russian, and Romanian, Moldovan for dominance in the educational sphere. While Gagauz is taught as a subject in schools, Russian remains the primary language of instruction in most subjects, reflecting the enduring influence of Russia in the region. The current socio-linguistic landscape of Gagauzia reveals a complex picture of language use. While Gagauz is spoken in many homes and rural communities, Russian remains the lingua franca in most public domains. According to a 2012 study, official documents, printed publications, and official websites in Gagauzia are predominantly in Russian. Signposts are mostly in Romanian, reflecting Moldova's official language policy. This linguistic divide creates significant barriers for Gagauz speakers, limiting their access to information, services, and opportunities. The national passport system in Moldova does not allow for the spelling of names in Gagauz, further marginalizing the language. These systemic challenges underscore the ongoing struggle for Gagauz to gain full recognition and equal status alongside Russian and Romanian, Moldovan. Attitudes towards language use in Gagauzia vary across generations. Older Gagauz, having grown up during the Soviet era, often have a strong command of Russian and view it as a language of prestige and opportunity. Younger Gagauz, while also fluent in Russian, express a growing interest in learning and using their ancestral language. Many see Gagauz as a symbol of their cultural identity and a way to connect with their roots. However, the lack of opportunities to use Gagauz in education, employment, and public life creates a sense of frustration and discouragement among young people, who often feel that their language is not valued by the wider society. This linguistic insecurity can lead to self-consciousness and reluctance to speak Gagauz in public, further contributing to its decline. Gagauz language education faces numerous challenges. The lack of qualified teachers, adequate teaching materials, and standardized curricula hinders efforts to effectively teach and promote the language in schools. The debate surrounding the language of instruction in schools also reflects the ongoing struggle for Gagauz to gain equal footing with Russian. While some advocate for Gagauz medium instruction, others argue that Russian provides better access to higher education and employment opportunities. This dilemma highlights the difficult choices faced by the Gagauz community as they navigate the complex linguistic landscape of their region. Many parents, recognizing the economic advantages of Russian proficiency, opt for Russian medium schools for their children, even if it means sacrificing their Gagauz language development. Despite these challenges, there are dedicated individuals and organizations working tirelessly to promote Gagauz language and culture. Newspapers like Ana Sozu, published entirely in Gagauz, provide a vital platform for promoting language use and cultural preservation. Radio and television broadcasts in Gagauz, produced by Gagauz Radio Televisionu, GRT, reach a wider audience, increasing the language's visibility and creating opportunities for its use in the media. Online platforms and social media groups have also emerged as important spaces for Gagauz speakers to connect, share information, and promote their language and culture. These initiatives, often driven by passionate individuals and community activists, play a crucial role in raising awareness about the Gagauz language, fostering a sense of pride among its speakers, and inspiring younger generations to learn and use their ancestral tongue. Cultural associations and community centers organize language classes, cultural events, and festivals, creating immersive environments where Gagauz can be learned and celebrated. These initiatives, while often operating on limited resources, provide vital support for Gagauz language revitalization efforts. The Gagauz people's struggle to preserve their language is not just a linguistic battle. It is a fight for cultural survival. Their language, rich in history, tradition, and cultural nuances, embodies their unique identity and worldview. The efforts to document and preserve traditional Gagauz folklore, songs, and oral traditions are crucial for maintaining the language's richness and cultural heritage. These cultural expressions, passed down through generations, not only entertain but also instill moral values, transmit historical knowledge, and reinforce cultural identity. The Gagauz language, with its unique vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation, reflects their distinct perspective and their connection to their land and their past. Its survival is essential for the continued flourishing of Gagauz culture and the preservation of their unique contribution to the rich tapestry of human diversity. The Gagauz language, therefore, stands as a symbol of their resilience, their determination to maintain their cultural identity in a multilingual world, and their hope for a future where their language and culture can thrive alongside those of their neighbors. Chapter 5. Gagauzia. Navigating the Labyrinth of Autonomy. Gagauzia, an autonomous region within Moldova, stands as a microcosm of the intricate geopolitical dynamics that shape the post-Soviet landscape. Its story is one of a constant balancing act, a delicate dance between the Moldovan state, to which it officially belongs, and the powerful gravitational pull of the Russian world. This balancing act is further complicated by internal political struggles, economic realities, and the legacy of a tumultuous past. Gagauzia's autonomy, formally granted in 1994 after a period of tense negotiations and the threat of secession, was meant to be a solution, a way to accommodate the Gagauz people's desire for self-determination while preserving Moldova's territorial integrity. However, the reality of Gagauzia's autonomy has been far more complex and ambiguous, a labyrinth of overlapping jurisdictions, undefined competencies, and simmering tensions with the Moldovan central government. The 1994 law establishing Gagauzia's special legal status, while seemingly comprehensive, suffers from several critical design flaws. Its language is often vague and open to interpretation, leading to disagreements and disputes between Comrat, Gagauzia's capital, and Chisinau, Moldova's capital. The law recognizes Gagauzia's right to self-determination should Moldova ever lose its sovereignty, a clause rooted in the Gagauz fear of a potential reunification with Romania. This fear, fueled by historical memories of Romanian rule and anxieties about cultural assimilation, remains a potent force in Gagauz politics, shaping their perceptions of Moldova and influencing their relationship with Russia. One of the most persistent sources of tension between Gagauzia and Moldova stems from the ambiguous definition of legislative authority. The law grants Gagauzia the power to pass local laws on matters such as education, culture, local development, and social security. However, the hierarchy of laws remains unclear. Does Gagauzia need to align its laws with those of Moldova, or vice versa? This lack of clarity has led to numerous disputes, with Gagauzia often accusing Chisinau of overreach and interference in its internal affairs. For example, Gagauzia's 2016 attempt to enhance the role of the Gagauz language in schools through its own regional education code was met with resistance from Chisinau, which declared the code unconstitutional. This clash highlights the ongoing struggle between Gagauzia's desire for cultural autonomy and Moldova's assertion of its national prerogatives. The role of the Bashkin, Gagauzia's governor, in the Moldovan government further illustrates the complexities of the region's autonomy. The law formally designates the Bashkin as an ex officio member of the Moldovan government, a provision intended to ensure Gagauzia's representation at the national level. However, successive Bashkins have complained of being marginalized and excluded from meaningful decision-making processes. They argue that they are not given timely information about important government initiatives and are not adequately consulted on matters affecting Gagauzia. This perceived lack of influence has led to frustration and resentment among Gagauz leaders, who feel that their autonomy is more symbolic than substantive. Former Bashkin Irina Vla's election in 2015 on a pro-Russian platform and her subsequent meetings with Russian President Vladimir Putin, as well as current Bashkin Evgenia Gudul's 2024 meeting with Putin, underscore Gagauzia's attempts to leverage external support to safeguard its interests and assert its autonomy within Moldova. Gagauzia's relationship with Russia extends far beyond shared cultural and linguistic affinities. Russia has actively cultivated its influence in the region through a combination of political and economic incentives. Moscow provides financial support to pro-Russian parties and candidates, bolstering their electoral prospects and amplifying their voices within Gagauzia's political landscape. Economic incentives, such as exemptions from Russian trade sanctions imposed on Moldova, preferential access to the Russian market for Gagauz agricultural products, and discounted natural gas prices, further solidify Russia's economic leverage. The Russian media plays a crucial role in shaping public opinion, disseminating narratives that emphasize historical ties, cultural commonalities, and the benefits of closer alignment with Russia. This media influence, coupled with the widespread use of the Russian language in Gagauzia, creates an echo chamber that reinforces pro-Russian sentiments and fuels skepticism towards the European Union and the West. The 2014 referendum in Gagauzia, where an overwhelming majority voted for integration with the Moscow-led Eurasian Economic Union, serves as a stark illustration of Russia's influence and the region's preference for closer ties with Moscow. Gagauzia's internal political dynamics further complicate its relationship with Moldova. Infighting among political elites, allegations of corruption involving EU funds, and the limited capacity of the People's Assembly to effectively govern all contribute to a perception of dysfunction and instability. These internal problems weaken Gagauzia's ability to engage constructively with Chisinau and create an opening for external actors, like Russia, to exert their influence. The Moldovan government's lack of genuine interest in Gagauzia, reflected in the underrepresentation of Gagauz residents on electoral lists and infrequent visits by national leaders, exacerbates the divide. This perceived neglect reinforces the Gagauz feeling of marginalization and fuels their skepticism towards Chisinau's intentions. The lack of a designated mechanism to resolve disputes between Gagauzia and Moldova further complicates matters, leaving simmering tensions unresolved and hindering efforts at genuine integration. NGO initiatives, like the dialogue facilitated by the Crisis Management Initiative between the Moldovan Parliament and the Gagauz People's Assembly, offer glimmers of hope, but the deep-seated mistrust and divergent political agendas make progress challenging. The Gagauz perspective on their relationship with Moldova and Russia is shaped by a complex interplay of historical memory, cultural identity, and economic realities. Many Gagauz, especially older generations, recall the Soviet era with a degree of nostalgia, viewing it as a time of stability and economic prosperity. They see Russia as a protector, a guarantor of their cultural identity and a bulwark against perceived threats from Romania and the West. Younger Gagauz, while also fluent in Russian and influenced by Russian media, express a growing interest in their Gagauz heritage and a desire for greater autonomy and self-determination within Moldova. They seek recognition of their unique identity, respect for their language and culture, and a greater voice in shaping their own future. However, the lack of economic opportunities in Gagauzia and the allure of better prospects in Russia often compel young people to seek work abroad, leading to emigration and a sense of disillusionment. The Gagauz people's participation in events like the World Congress of Gagauz People, held in Comrade in 2017 with the participation of Turkish Prime Minister Binali Yildirim, highlights their desire to connect with the wider Gagauz diaspora and explore opportunities for cultural and economic cooperation. Gagauzia's complex geopolitical situation is further complicated by its geographical location on the border between Moldova and Ukraine. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine, fueled by Russia's annexation of Crimea and its support for separatists in the Donbass, has created new anxieties and uncertainties. Gagauzia's proximity to the conflict zone, coupled with its pro-Russian sentiments, raises concerns about potential spillover effects. The presence of Russian troops in Transnistria, just a short distance from Gagauzia, adds another layer of complexity. The Moldovan government's efforts to limit Russian influence, including the banning of Russian television stations accused of spreading disinformation, have been met with resistance in Gagauzia, where many residents continue to rely on Russian media for their news and information. This information divide further reinforces the region's distinct identity and its ties to Russia. Gagauzia's future remains uncertain, its path forward shrouded in the mists of geopolitical uncertainty and internal political struggles. The region's autonomy, while formally enshrined in law, remains a work in progress, its implementation fraught with ambiguities and tensions. The Gagauz people, caught between the Moldovan state and the Russian world, seek to navigate this complex landscape, preserving their unique identity, safeguarding their interests, and charting a course towards a future where their autonomy is not just a legal concept but a lived reality. Their story is a reminder of the enduring challenges of self-determination, the complexities of identity in a post-Soviet world, and the ongoing struggle to find a balance between local aspirations and national interests. The Gagauz people's resilience, their determination to preserve their language and culture, and their desire for a better future offer a glimmer of hope in a region marked by uncertainty and change. Chapter 6. Whispers of Separatism. Navigating the fault lines of Gagauz autonomy. The Gagauz yearning for self-determination, a whisper that often escalates into a clamor, reverberates through the political landscape of Moldova. While the 1994 autonomy agreement aimed to quell these whispers, separatist sentiments linger, echoing through the region's complex relationship with Moldova and its enduring ties to Russia. This chapter delves into the multifaceted nature of Gagauz separatism, exploring the historical grievances, political machinations, and external influences that fuel this persistent undercurrent of discontent. The specter of reunification with Romania casts a long shadow over Gagauzia's political consciousness. The Gagauz, with their distinct Turkic identity and Orthodox Christian faith, harbor deep-seated anxieties about cultural assimilation and the potential erosion of their autonomy should Moldova ever merge with its Romanian neighbor. These anxieties are not mere phantoms, they are rooted in historical experience. During the interwar period when Bessarabia, including Gagauzia, was part of Romania, the Gagauz faced pressures to adopt the Romanian language and culture. This period, often referred to as the Romanian occupation, in Gagauz narratives, left a bitter taste, fueling suspicions of Romanian intentions and reinforcing the Gagauz desire to maintain their distinct identity. These historical grievances shape their current political views, manifesting in strong opposition to any initiatives perceived as promoting reunification. For instance, the adoption of Romanian as the official language of Moldova in 1989, seen by some Gagauz as a step towards reunification, sparked protests and fueled separatist sentiments. The Gagauz perspective on Moldovan, Romanian identity and language issues is complex and often fraught with emotion, reflecting their historical experiences and their anxieties about cultural survival. The external self-determination clause in the 1994 law, granting Gagauzia the right to secede if Moldova loses its sovereignty, stands as a stark testament to this fear. This clause, while intended as a safeguard against reunification, also serves as a potent symbol of Gagauz separatism, a constant reminder of the region's potential to break away from Moldova. The ambiguity surrounding the interpretation of loss of sovereignty further complicates matters. Does it solely refer to reunification with Romania, or could it also encompass other scenarios, such as Moldova joining the European Union? This lack of clarity creates an opening for divergent interpretations, fueling separatist narratives and hindering efforts at genuine reconciliation between Gagauzia and Moldova. The 2014 referendum in Gagauzia, where an overwhelming majority voted against EU integration and in favor of joining the Russian-led Eurasian Customs Union, illustrates the Gagauz people's preference for closer ties with Moscow and their skepticism towards the West. Russia's influence in Gagauzia extends far beyond mere rhetoric. Moscow has actively cultivated its ties with the region, providing not only political backing but also tangible economic incentives. Exemptions from Russian trade sanctions imposed on Moldova, preferential access to the Russian market for Gagauz agricultural products, particularly wine, and discounted natural gas prices have created a sense of economic dependence on Russia. This economic support, coupled with political endorsements from high-ranking Russian officials, including President Vladimir Putin's meetings with Gagauz leaders Irina Vla and Evgenia Gudul, reinforces pro-Russian sentiments and fuels skepticism towards Moldova and the West. Moscow also leverages its cultural and linguistic connections, supporting Russian-language schools and media outlets in Gagauzia. This media influence, combined with the widespread use of the Russian language, shapes public opinion and reinforces pro-Russian narratives. The 2014 referendum and its aftermath, including Russia's economic ban on Moldova and the conspicuous exception for Gagauz products, underscore Moscow's willingness to use economic leverage to influence political dynamics in the region. The Gagauz themselves are not a monolith on the issue of separatism. While some voices advocate for full independence, dreaming of a sovereign Gagauz state, others prefer greater autonomy within Moldova, seeking a more balanced relationship with Chisinau that respects their distinct identity and political rights. This internal division is further complicated by the region's political dynamics, marked by infighting, corruption, and the use of separatist rhetoric for personal gain. Politicians often exploit separatist sentiments to mobilize support, gain leverage in negotiations with Chisinau, or deflect attention from internal problems. The ambiguity of the 1994 autonomy law, with its vaguely defined competencies and lack of a clear dispute resolution mechanism, exacerbates these tensions, creating opportunities for divergent interpretations and fueling separatist narratives. For example, disputes over legislative authority, the role of the Bashkin in the Moldovan government, and the language of instruction in schools have all been flashpoints in the ongoing tug-of-war between Comrade and Chisinau. The banning of the pro-Russian Shore Party in Moldova in 2023, whose candidate Evgenia Gudul had just won the Gagauz gubernatorial election, further inflamed separatist sentiments. The Shore Party, known for its populist rhetoric and close ties to Russia, had gained significant support in Gagauzia, capitalizing on economic anxieties and pro-Russian sentiments. The party's ban, while justified by the Moldovan government on grounds of corruption and unconstitutional activities, was perceived by many Gagauz as an attack on their political rights and a blatant disregard for their autonomy. Gudul's subsequent assumption of the governorship, despite her affiliation with a banned party, created a constitutional crisis, further straining relations between Comrade and Chisinau. The Gagauz reaction to the ban, ranging from protests and condemnation to calls for greater autonomy and even secession, highlights the deep-seated mistrust towards the Moldovan government and the potential for further escalation of separatist tensions. The presence of a governor affiliated with a banned party underscores the challenges faced by Moldova in balancing its national interests with the Gagauz people's right to self-determination. Gagauzia's separatist sentiments are not isolated. They are inextricably linked to the broader geopolitical context, particularly Russia's war in Ukraine and Moldova's aspirations for EU membership. The war in Ukraine, with its devastating consequences for a neighboring country with close historical and cultural ties to Moldova, has created new anxieties and uncertainties. Gagauzia's proximity to the conflict zone, coupled with its pro-Russian leanings, raises concerns about potential spillover effects and the possibility of the region becoming a flashpoint for renewed tensions. Moldova's pursuit of EU membership, while welcomed by many in the country as a path towards greater prosperity and stability, is viewed with suspicion by some in Gagauzia, who fear that it could lead to closer alignment with Romania and the erosion of their autonomy. Russia has actively exploited these anxieties, using its influence in Gagauzia to destabilize Moldova and hinder its EU integration efforts. The Kremlin's support for Gagauz separatism, its economic incentives, and its media influence all contribute to a climate of uncertainty and division, undermining Moldova's efforts to consolidate its sovereignty and chart a pro-Western course. Gagauzia's geographical location, nestled between Moldova, Ukraine, and the breakaway region of Transnistria, further complicates the situation. Transnistria, with its Russian military presence and its self-declared independence, serves as a constant reminder of the fragility of Moldova's territorial integrity. Gagauzia's proximity to Transnistria, coupled with its pro-Russian sentiments, raises concerns about the potential for coordination between separatist movements and the possibility of Gagauzia becoming a second Transnistria. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine, with its potential to spill over into Moldova, adds another layer of complexity. Gagauzia's location near Ukraine's Odessa region, a strategically important port city with a diverse ethnic population, makes it a potential target for Russian destabilization efforts. The Kremlin could exploit ethnic tensions and pro-Russian sentiments in the region to create another frozen conflict, further undermining Ukraine's sovereignty and security. The whispers of separatism in Gagauzia, therefore, are not just a local phenomenon. They are a reflection of broader geopolitical struggles, a microcosm of the ongoing tug-of-war between Russia and the West for influence in the post-Soviet space. The Gagauz people's desire for self-determination, their historical grievances, and their anxieties about cultural survival are all legitimate concerns that deserve careful consideration. However, the manipulation of these sentiments by external actors, like Russia, and the exploitation of internal divisions for political gain pose a significant threat to Moldova's stability and territorial integrity. A more nuanced and inclusive approach to Gagauzia's autonomy, one that addresses the Gagauz people's legitimate concerns while upholding Moldova's sovereignty and promoting genuine integration, is essential for navigating the fault lines of Gagauz autonomy and preventing the whispers of separatism from escalating into a full-blown crisis. This requires not only a concerted effort from the Moldovan government to engage constructively with Gagauzia but also a clear and unequivocal commitment from the international community to support Moldova's sovereignty and territorial integrity. The Gagauz people's future, like that of Moldova itself, hinges on finding a way to bridge the divides, reconcile competing interests, and build a future based on mutual respect, understanding, and cooperation. The Gagauz people, a Turkic-speaking Christian minority primarily residing in Moldova's autonomous region of Gagauzia and parts of Ukraine, present a compelling case study in the complexities of identity, cultural preservation, and the interplay of local autonomy and geopolitical forces. Their origins remain shrouded in mystery, with competing theories pointing to Seljuk, Steppe, Greek, and Bulgarian influences. This historical ambiguity underscores the fluid nature of identity and the challenges of tracing ethnic and linguistic roots. The Gagauz migration to Bessarabia from the Balkans, driven by a combination of Ottoman pressures and Russian incentives, further shaped their identity, solidifying a sense of community forged in shared experience. Their unique blend of Orthodox Christianity with possible remnants of Tengriism, the ancient religion of the steppes, highlights the dynamic interplay of religious and cultural influences. The Gagauz language, caught between the dominant forces of Russian and Romanian, Moldovan, faces a precarious future. Their efforts to revitalize their language, including the transition from Cyrillic to Latin script, demonstrate the vital role of language in cultural survival and the challenges of linguistic preservation in a multilingual world. Gagauzia's autonomy within Moldova, granted in 1994, has been a constant balancing act, navigating the tensions between local aspirations and national interests. The external self-determination clause within the autonomy agreement, granting Gagauzia the right to secede if Moldova loses its sovereignty, reflects the deep-seated fear of reunification with Romania and the enduring influence of Russia. This fear, rooted in historical grievances and fueled by Russian political and economic incentives, contributes to the ongoing whispers of separatism that echo through the region. The Gagauz story illuminates broader trends in post-Soviet identity politics, the challenges of minority rights and autonomy within nation-states, and the role of external actors in shaping regional dynamics. It reveals how historical memory, cultural identity, economic realities, and geopolitical forces intertwine to create complex and often volatile situations. The Gagauz experience offers valuable insights into the dynamics of autonomy, the challenges of language preservation, and the interplay of religion and cultural identity. Their story serves as a microcosm of the broader struggles for self-determination and cultural survival faced by minority groups in a rapidly changing world. Looking ahead, the future of Gagauzia, and the Gagauz people themselves, hinges on finding a delicate balance between preserving their unique identity and integrating within the Moldovan state. The ongoing geopolitical tensions, particularly Russia's war in Ukraine and Moldova's aspirations for EU membership, add further layers of complexity. The Gagauz story underscores the importance of inclusive governance, the need for genuine dialogue between central governments and autonomous regions, and the crucial role of international support in promoting stability and protecting minority rights. What are your thoughts on the Gagauz people's unique journey? How do you see the interplay of identity, autonomy, and geopolitical forces shaping their future? Share your perspectives and questions in the comments below. We encourage you to like, subscribe, and suggest topics for future explorations. The pursuit of knowledge and understanding is a journey best shared, and your curiosity is the compass that guides us.